Show me how you can break this Chinaman's neck.
Well, don't ever go to a bar in China and start a fight.
Why not?
Because they will get drunk and beat the shit out of you. Apparently, when they get drunk over there, that's not, over here it's a bad habit. Over there, it's like a martial arts style.
Well, it is one of those things. Like, it's kind of like a Venus flytrap. Like over there, I think you could fight anybody as long as they're not drunk.
No, that's the only place. That's the only place in the world where you'll find that the fucking homeless can beat your fucking ass. Yeah.
Homeless style.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter where you go. You shouldn't go thrift shopping because there's an ancient art of thrift shopping food. Even the Colonel style chicken has got its own thing there. Don't even walk into a Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah, those homeless people you see in the corner, they just take money from you. They don't have to ask.
But you're right though. Drunks, don't fuck with drunks over there. They got their whole own shit going on. Just give them your money, don't make eye contact, and keep walking.
Yeah, I'm a vet. Give me your money. Man, I give you take it.
The only thing you got going is tourist style. That ain't worth shit.
Well, now let's be honest. Now, like they like to call it the drunken style, but I'm watching that and I'm like, that ain't no drunken style kung fu. That's crumping. That's why you can watch any the black kids in L.A. do crump dance. It's exactly that. Spinning on your head, doing the robotic zombie moves.
And I'll tell you this right now, what you're talking about right there was really weird in this movie. Because I'm familiar with a lot of the styles, and that wasn't Chinese martial arts they were doing. That's capoeira, which is a Brazilian style, which they certainly didn't know about in medieval China. That was where breakdancing came from.
And just to let you know, drunken style boxing or whatever, drunken master style boxing, that shit ain't real either. That was created specifically for Hong Kong cinema.
Yeah.
So, don't go asking anybody.
It's real.
I'm trying to look at
what
the
are you doing?
textbook.
I'm doing drunken style.
Yeah, you sober up real quick. Shit, no, it's real in my head when I'm drunk and I'm trying to fight.
Because to be fair, in their mythology, their folklore, drunken fist is a real thing. Now, whether or not anyone actually has performed it to any degree of success is it in real life is an entirely different matter.
Like one guy got away with it once just because they couldn't figure out what the fuck he was doing. But then after that, everybody who tried to get their
He's like, I don't need to know kung fu. I just need to know crazy.
Yeah, exactly. No, I know drunken style, but I only know one move, and that's when I'm headlocking that toilet. Just choking that shit.
I think Britney Spears practiced that when she tried to beat up that truck.
My drunken style is busting somebody over the head with a bottle of wine.
My drunken style is running as far away as I can from the incident. Going, Corey, why'd you do that? And then running.
No, we are talking about True Legend, and True Legend has some of that legendary drunken style they're talking about, because the director of this, if I'm not mistaken, he's the director of one of my favorite movies, Drunken Master.
Mm-hmm. The original,
The original Drunken Master, No, Drunken Master and Drunken Master 2 are great movies, I think. But this director didn't do 2, though, right?
No, Jackie Chan did 2.
Yeah,
and that guy's...
Although he was in it, though, wasn't he?
Who?
I thought Yuen Wu-Ping?
He did the choreography.
He did the stunt choreography. I thought he actually played the old guy with the fight under the train in there.
Oh, God, I can't even remember.
I thought that was actually him. But anyway, sorry.
No, the director...
We're nerding out here.
Yeah, I see that. I'm just letting you get all at your system over here. Nerd style. Co-host, finish him. The director here, I'm looking at his name. You got to say like a video game sound effect to his name. Wu Ping Yong.
Master like Wu Ping.
Wu Ping. Yeah, of course, you got to get this name right. He's actually famous.
Yeah, he actually is
from the movies he's directed and the fight choreography he's done.
Yeah, he did the Matrix. Almost every major American film that has good fight scenes is because Yuen Wu-Ping did it.
Yeah. Hey, look, I watch his movies. I don't say his name. Whenever I see his movies, I was like, oh, that guy's
I'm just trying to keep you from getting demolished by the nerd army out there.
You can just call him Wu-Ping. That'll be fine.
Wu-Ping? Okay.
You can skip the hard part.
Like whooping your ass.
If I don't get his name right. But this movie, and I'm just going to come out with full disclosure, I didn't get through watching it because I was trying to watch it when we were going to start recording, or before we started recording.
Well, it's 3 days long to finish.
That's what I realized. I was like, because it got to a point in the movie, I was like, well, that's done. I saw the whole thing, and I thought the credits were about to roll, but it wasn't the credits. It was letters coming up saying Chapter 2.
Yeah,
I was
I totally had that moment like in Breaking the Waves when you feel like it's over and it's just getting ready to set up for another chapter. You're like, oh, come on.
I know. I was like, I saw a movie already. All right, it's cool. We can end right here. I had a good time.
It's better to watch while you're drunk, only because it'll go that much faster. It'll be that much more amazing to you.
I mean, while I agree with you, it was long. I enjoyed the whole thing, but I'll admit that even like the hobbits got up and left the audience. They were like, come on, how many endings does this thing have?
Man, we got rid of the ring by the time this movie was done. But from what I saw, the reason why I thought it was over because the first half, I imagine it's only like 2 chapters, right?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Okay.
Too.
Yeah, and you guys can tell me more than I probably can about this movie, about the story.
About the story? Well, okay, so this is medieval China, and it's...
Is it medieval China?
No, it took place 10 years ago. Of course it's medieval China.
No, the reason why I ask, you say it's medieval China, but
Yeah, it can't be medieval
because
from where it takes place toward the end with the Russians coming in and the way they're dressed. That's
it's 1800s.
1800s, yeah.
Motherfuckers have been trying to school me.
Well, that's their medieval. It's different for us. Our medieval's like 14.
God damn, your history is medieval, man.
Their Renaissance is going on right now.
Look, it was set in the olden days, all right?
Mr. Peabody and that dog.
It was many moons ago.
Yeah, I think the date in here is 1862, but it's
the whole country of China is Doctor Who's new companion.
But you're right. It might as well be. I mean, because they're still living like they're in ancient China. I mean, even though they're
still dressed like
it's still dressed like it.
You got those old masters with the long white hair, long white beards. It's
right.
Enough.
It appears to be pre-industrial revolution in China and pre-Boxer Rebellion and all that stuff. So it's like before white people had thoroughly come in and fucked up everything, but they were certainly well on their way, as we discover later on in the film. But earlier in the film, what we have to deal with is basically a family where it is a guy who had a kung fu master guy who had adopted the son of his enemy at one point, this guy who had gone crazy through the use of a dangerous martial art called the 5 Venom Fists.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. It's a Lifetime drama, just packed with intrigue and incest.
Yeah.
It's a Chinese episode of Jerry Springer.
You got this guy Sukan, who is, as you said, and I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but
that's right.
But Sukan, he's in an army. He's a great general. And they're going to, people are saying, man, you should just come and rule. You can
be the governor.
You can be the governor.
Even the prince is saying, like, I want to make you the governor.
Yeah, and he's like, no, man. He's like, look, I got a fine chick over here. I just want to go start a martial arts school.
I just want to go home and marry my sister.
Yeah, I want to go home and because we'll get that a little bit.
Sister. It's adopted.
I'm never going to get through this. It's going to be a fucking long ass review. He says, I got this fine chick over here who is his foster sister. He's like, look, man, I'm nailing this. I want to have some kids. I want to have a family. I want to start a martial arts school. Tell you what, I'm gonna let my foster brother over here, who is the brother of the girl that he's hooking up with, I'm gonna let him run everything. He's all right, and everybody can see that this dude is crazy. But he's like,
your brother's a dick. You don't know that?
Yeah, it's because his brother's already looking treacherous. His brother's already saying, already lying. Yeah, my brother died out in battle. He ain't coming back. And he comes to the door and he's like, hey, brother. He's like, motherfucker, God damn it. But so, as we expect, he leaves. He goes off with his life. He has a little kid. And his father is telling him, he's like, look, that brother of yours, he's adopted. I killed his father and he don't like me too much. And you let this motherfucker be governor. It's like, he's going to come back and kill me. And he's like, no, man, we hung out when we were kids. He's cool, man. He's all right. Don't worry about this. And sure enough, this guy has not only turned evil, but he's got his army dressed all in spiky black outfits now. He doesn't get any sun. He's all pale, looking like Robert Pattinson from Twilight.
Well, I thought it was like the bad guys from Chronicles of Riddick for a little bit.
Well, I mean, it's almost like he started as just kind of an asshole, and then he graduated magna cum laude from supervillain school to where he had all the accoutrement of a supervillain. With the army, a posse all in black. He's got no color. He shaved his head. His eyes are bloodshot.
He played a lot of Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah. He shows up and looks like he's been sniffing glue, ain't brushed his teeth. Teeth are yellow. I mean, he's like trying way too hard to be villainous.
Well, his whole deal was he wanted to learn. Like he said, I want to know something about my daddy. My daddy who got killed. And he goes to the same thing got his daddy killed. He's like, I want to learn these 5 Venom Fists. What could go wrong? And sure enough, it turns you into a huge, ugly, pale-looking dick.
Yeah, no, the 5 Venoms just fucked his mind up because that's the artist he's perfected. He goes back and talks to his adopted dad. He's like, look, you're right. I ain't forgot that shit. And his father like, look, man, your father, I killed him because he let the venoms get out of hand. I did you a favor, just cool out. And he's like, no,
they should totally let you dub this film.
I know they should. I love what you're doing.
You were the RZA.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Wu-Tang Clan. And he's like, no, I got to have my revenge. And not only that, I'm going to use this venomous skill that I learned. Kills his dad, goes, his brother comes back and says, hey, man, what the fuck? We were brothers. My father raised you like you were his own. I mean, what the hell is going on? He's like, you know what? I'm going to get you out the way, too. So he thinks that he kills his brother. His sister comes in trying to step up to his brother, gets rid of the wife, and then just takes the little kid as his little nephew, saying, you're my only family now, to the point where I'm just going to put you in chains and keep you locked up in my castle.
You're going to be my mini-me.
Yeah, you're going to be my little mini-me. So you can see what's going to happen here. Sukan survives. His wife survives, takes care of him. She's a good bottom bitch. She saves his life.
She's a hot lady.
Yeah, she is. And they're plotting their revenge to take down. What was the guy's name? It was Young Lee.
Don't look at me like I know. I just go that guy who sewed his armor onto his body. That guy.
Yeah, I know the little boy was
the deadly venoms.
Yeah, Young Lee is the big villain here. They said, okay, we're gonna take down Young Lee, get our son back, and just set things right. And in the middle of all this, it is the acting in it. I have to say, I don't know if it's terrible because I can't understand what they're saying. But even if I can't understand what they're saying, I can tell that is extremely overdramatic.
Right.
Oh, that's how all these films are.
Who can knock it? But
there are films like this that have been done that aren't that way, that are actually very well done, and very serious, and you can tell when you watch enough of these. But you're right, co-host. Most of them are just, what is it, wuxia? How do you pronounce it? WUXIA? Is it wuxia?
Yeah.
Most of these films are that just super elaborate. I mean, they're superhero movies for all extents and purposes for the Chinese. This is their folklore, which are all superhero tales.
That's what I was going to say. It's like, the one thing that made me feel like, okay, maybe I'm judging this movie incorrectly because it's all it's like the dramatization of the legend of the guy who started the wushu and drunken master
or the drunken fist specifically.
Yeah, drunken fist. So looking at it that way, okay, you're trying to do a dramatization of a legend that's been passed down for centuries. And this is their attempt at making it a little bit probably more human than what the actual legend was. So from that scope, I'm like, all right, if I look at it that way, I don't feel so harshly about it. But I didn't come to that realization until the very end. Up until that point, I was just like rolling my eyes like,
it takes a while, but just people who are still complicated about what the hell this is about. This is pretty much the origin of the Chinese quote-unquote legend of Beggar So. Apparently.
Right.
And you don't realize that until like halfway through because, I mean, yeah, that's honestly when all the family drama's out of the way and you start to see basically this guy starts training. He gets to a point in his life that the one who's pretty much been exiled, the one who was supposedly, killed, he goes into exile almost and starts to train with this guy who pretty much starts teaching him drunken master kung fu. But the cool thing about the story is you start to see what exactly is going on in the quote unquote real world.
Yeah.
And it's the one point in this movie where that's the part that captured me where I'm like, okay, I finally realized what this movie is about and who it's about.
Well, because it had nothing to do with any of that until the weird break that it had. Because 3/4 of this film has absolutely nothing to do with that, which is fine.
Right.
I mean, it's like, okay, it's another wuxia film. It's like, okay, so like I'm used to this kind of thing. It's silly, it's fun, it's a silly martial arts film.
It is.
Right? With lots of style to it.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it's like, all right, forget all that shit you've seen before.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna go and put him somewhere else, and now he's a crazy homeless guy. And for no reason at all, this dude is gonna teach him how to do like how to fight when he's drunk.
Yeah, and that lasts like a good amount of time because the only problem with this film that I've had was like, wow, this is like somebody tried to cram in way too much shit into one movie.
Felt like it should have been two different movies.
It really should have been two different movies. The second part should have been the sequel.
Well, yeah, I guess that's what we should tell people. Like the movie, we were talking about how it's two parts, and you're right. It does feel like it's two different movies, and it feels like they're trying to make this like epic type Godfather film. And the first half of the movie, which is a movie within itself, is that revenge story of Sukan trying to go off and kill his foster brother, and then after that, they go into the main story, which is the origin of this fighting style, in which the hero in the first part of the film, and it's an interesting. I wish I could have seen the whole movie because I thought it was interesting where it was going. But you have one part of this movie setting up a second story of when our hero loses something very dear to him, and it causes his life to go in a spiral, and he becomes a drunk, and he has to walk around with his son, and they're in poverty. He's like a deadbeat dad almost, and then you can tell that something is happening, and you, like I said, you guys know I didn't see this, but you can tell that there's going to be some big arc to where he probably rises back to. Am I right here?
Sort of.
He kind of rises back to.
I mean, you never really get to see the full return to sanity. Really, it's only not till the very end of the film that he finally gets off his ass to do something.
And that's the thing. Like, to people who are expecting like a kind of typical movie, you're not going to get the typical ending at all. I mean, what you expect. I mean, because if you know the story of Becker So, you realize that there is no real like happy ending for that guy. He just becomes like a wanderer almost.
Well, that's like so many of the folk heroes.
And that's what this story is based on, that legend of
he's the guy who trains Jackie Chan and Drunken Master.
Yeah,
the old
drunk drunkard.
Okay. So it's almost like they say, like, look, you know the adventures of what this guy did, but we're going to show you his life before. Like, imagine if you went to see the first time you saw Christopher Reeve and Superman in the movie, but an hour and a half of it was just Jor-El's life on Krypton, and Kal-El as a baby, and in the last 30 minutes was him putting on the costume and flying.
Suddenly you realize, oh, this is connected to that story. The difference is like these stories, I mean, they're much more familiar to the Chinese than they are to us. They're more Aesop's fables almost over there. Everybody knows a lot of these stories. So it's like, okay, well, we know these names already. We have some idea how this plays out. I mean, you don't understand how popular these are. There's like 130 different movies that have been made just about Jackie Chan's character, like that guy who learns drunken boxing. Like the Once Upon a Time in China movies are about him. Like tons of movies.
Or Yip Man, which was
another guy
who was the guy who trained Bruce Lee. Which when that movie came out, that movie starred Donnie Yen. That movie outdid Iron Man at the box office. I mean, it made Iron Man look like nothing.
Really?
Yeah, because he's a really well-known folk hero in their literature.
With all this folklore and folk heroes and fables, and it could be all important to them. It's the whole shit is a cartoon to me, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing.
You're not wrong that it is.
No, I had, because the thing that through all the dramatic acting, over dramatic acting, and all these stories that are kind of heavy, I'm just looking at the martial arts, and it's that kind of crazy cartoony martial arts that I like a lot. Some wire work. The whole thing now has gone beyond wires, where they CG out everything. Everybody's dodging CG weapons and all this kind of stuff, and it's fun, man. I like that. When people can just like hop on top of grass blades, and when you kick them, they go backwards, but they still not on their feet. And and we even have it, like with the story that I saw here, the half that I saw, it really was a video game. I mean, the villain here, Yuan Li, is complete with like Sukan is hitting him, and you wonder why, man, he's not doing any damage. And the guy takes off his shirt, and he's like, I've had metal armor sewn inch by inch to my skin. I was like, yeah!
It's a live-action version of Tekken. Yeah. I mean, it really is. And that's the one selling point of this movie, because, it's very cartoonish, but it's very stylized, and it's very fun to watch, but they do film it in a way, and even the color palette of it looks really cartoonish, which I know they shot this in 3D. This movie was specifically made, in 3D and 2D, yeah. But and you can tell because there's some odd shots where you see stuff coming at you. Right. I saw it in 2D, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's unusual. So it looked real cartoonish, but once you realize it was made for 3D, you're like, okay, I get it.
That explains all of the swords flying towards the screen and everything.
They haven't figured out the whole CG thing yet, totally, obviously. I mean, if you've seen, I see a lot of these type movies. I see almost everything you can get on DVD that comes out, and this is the best they've yet done.
Are you serious?
The CG weapons, and it still didn't look that good. And luckily, they don't totally overuse it. Most of the appeal of the combat is that it's great fight choreography. I mean, if you like the wire work style fighting, it's some of the best work of this sort of thing I've seen in a while.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's that it's beautiful to look at, but it's so thrusted in this whole complicated story that by the time you actually start to forget some of the cooler stuff, because they bring this story back, and you're just like, okay, this is great, but let's get back on.
That's where I disagree with you. I thought the story was super simple. It's like, because a lot of these stories are so complicated that I, stone cold sober, trying to pay attention with notes and Wikipedia, I still couldn't tell you what the plot was.
It's just one of those things where
I go, okay, I understand
I thought
everything.
The story it's basically simple, almost too simple, and yet they kept trying to find ways to overcomplicate it. I mean, And also something that just bugged me so much is like every moment, like it'd be so cartoonish, but it would have a moment of actual genuine emotional resonance where I'm like, you know what? I kind of felt something there. It would come right back around with something just completely silly or just straight up cheesy.
Right.
You're not wrong.
Like there's a surprise cameo at the end where I was just like, I mean, you know, not even a cameo, but a guy who comes in where I just rolled my eyes. I'm like, are you kidding me? You just had the son crying,
why is he
and I
here?
felt something, and now you're gonna pull this? This is
Right.
I just
stop it.
I think that you don't watch these films, generally speaking, with few exceptions, for what you look for out of an American film. And I know that
Yeah.
sounds like a cop out.
No.
It's true,
I believe it. I kept thinking, you know what? There's just something lost in translation.
Yeah,
when
and
it comes to me.
I mean, the thing is too. Maybe it's not overcomplicated, but you're right. I thought they were trying to make, which a lot of these stories are. They're very simple stories, but they make it way complicated as far as like throwing all these names at you, where you're trying to remember who's who and who is actually getting a revenge on who else. And so I guess that kind of distracted me from what was going on. Also, the running time, because the action was great, but the thing is, it runs so goddamn long that it's too much soup, not enough noodles. So
that does suck. You can't eat soup with chopsticks.
No, and that's I just wanted to see more of a simplified version of that story.
I just find for me that even, I mean, you know, I know I'm different from the group. A fight with CG or the wire work, it just loses me. It feels to me like there's just no consequence.
No,
It's
I
like-
understand.
And so it just means nothing.
I just grew up with it. So
right,
it was
right.
like, for
And
me,
yeah, if you're used to it, that's cool.
But I'm that way with, like, say, wrestling, where I watch, I know it's staged, and I know it's still hard to do. You know, it's very athletic, but I know it's staged, and so it's just lost on me. Totally.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but in its context, I can take it. As like, I think it looks cool because I look at something like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I know people love that movie, but it was hard for me to take the movie seriously with all the wire work in it. It just didn't grab me. I just didn't buy it.
Yeah, that's one of those things you either totally can get and it like appeals to you, or you're never ever gonna. It's never gonna have any appeal to you at all.
But watching this, I was like, hey, this is they've set this up. These are the rules, and I can understand it. And even when they got serious in some parts, because the most serious parts in the film come between Sue Can and his wife, who's played here by an actress named Zun Shao something. She's a pretty famous actress and singer in China, and she plays, her character is Wang Ying, again the sister of the villain. And
actually, acting wise, she really steps up.
But you know, did you notice that? I don't know if you liked them or not. I did, but there were a lot of things that I couldn't take in the movie drama wise. But their chemistry as husband and wife, when they were alone together and they had to act in those scenes, I thought those were pretty sweet. I like that.
I did too, because that felt more like a real movie. I was like, you know what, right here you got something that's completely alien to the beginning of this film, but I like what this is doing. And what I was actually thinking of saying about the fights and the CG, when it got to like kind of like the fantasy stuff, I totally bought into it then. It worked for me then. And the fight later, the one with his brother, the big face off, had me on the edge of my seat.
Oh yeah, no, that was crazy. See, that's the thing about the movie, man. I'm glad I stopped where I stopped because I saw a movie that entertained me. I saw an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes of a movie that was cool. And then where I cut off, that brother was Sukan was walking down the street drunk, and it turned into like such a out of place kind of comedy because he was stumbling, juggling. Then he started doing like head spins and breakdancing, and I was like, I need to go ahead and just cut this off because I'm not going to be able to give it as good a review as I want if I continue to watch right here. This is getting kind of stupid.
I would like to say, in reference to your other point about the pop singer being a star, almost everybody in Chinese films is a pop singer.
That's true.
That's not. I mean, seriously, even Jackie Chan had a successal pop singing career.
Really? So there's no such thing as karaoke over there.
They
Everybody's a star.
Right. Once you pick up that mic,
you're a pop star.
if you know martial arts, you might as well just cash and check.
Well, you know what? With a billion people, you only got to sell to 1% of them to get rich.
See, now I'm looking forward to William Hung's martial arts movie. Whenever that happens, I will be there. I'll be in line for that one.
Yeah, but he can't sing. So.
Hey, that's a matter of opinion, brother.
Hey.
I have that fucking CD, all right?
How many Jackie Chan albums you got?
Yeah.
Well, none. I have some Occidental sensibilities. Thank you very much.
Stop lying. You got a crate full of that shit. Speaking of cameos, there was a weird cameo in here. Weird only because she's such a star, and I don't think they used her enough unless she came back later in the movie. Honestly,
Oh, yeah.
Michelle Yeoh.
That was weird.
Yeah. That was
'Cause
odd.
she's-
She comes in as a character who takes care of the married couple in here, and she makes wine and she does herbs and all kinds of stuff. She does everything but fight.
Yeah.
It's true. Although she does deliver a very important line in the movie. I mean, like, it's something she says that turns things around.
Well, there's
plot-wise.
one thing that confused me with her character, because they make this big point of her saying, like, don't worry about the venom that's in your system. I'll take it out. I've like exposed myself to every kind of venom, so I already, I don't have any problem with it. You can't poison me. And you're like, I
know, right?
So he's going to be how he's going to learn from her how to do that. And then the guy with his old venom fist bullshit won't be a problem. But no, it never comes up again.
Man, I have to tell you, though, that villain, who probably has the easiest name out of all these actors, Andy On. That's it. Yeah. I like him just because of his name.
He's always on.
Y'all
shit. You so armored yourself. You know what? You want it more. You deserve to win.
That is the thing. Especially the way his method for getting venom into his system. It's like, go on, brother.
Oh no,
I hand it to you.
This dude, he's
ultimate addict.
Yeah, early on in the movie, he's kind of cool. He's like, all right, brother, I'm going to stay here and be governor and take care of things. You go and start your little school and whatever. And then the moment he comes back, like I said, he just looks crazy. He's like, and from that point on, he's overacting. Either he's really evil or he's just insane. That's like, he's just looking for anybody to kill. You do not want to be the guy that delivers a bad message to this villain.
Yeah. You don't want to be on his team at all.
No, everybody that comes to him with any kind of bad news, he kills them, takes it out on them.
Yeah.
Like one guy just came up and touched his sister and said, somebody's here. And he took a sword and said, shout, cut his arm off. Don't you ever touch my sister. Like, God damn, man, you just asked?
I know. It's like, you told me to bring her in here.
The thing is, they have excellent health coverage.
Yeah, we'll sew it back on. Go see Michelle Yeoh. She'll put that shit back on.
You'd be like, hey, man, the governor has toilet paper on his shoe. Well, what you want me to do about it? Well, tell him. Fuck you. I'm not telling him.
What's funny is that in the context of these type of films, he's a relatively restrained villain. Because a lot of times, like, there's this whole thing where sometimes, like, to get power, you have to become a hermaphrodite. I swear to God. And so a lot of times the villain is like a drag queen, basically. Like flying around. And like, you're like, wait, is that a guy or a girl? Like, well, kind of neither, really, because they had to give up who they are, their gender, to be able to get matches.
Are you sure you're not on G-Force? Are you sure you're not just bringing in your perverted henches into this review right now?
You know this is to be true.
I don't watch that bullshit.
Because if that's the case, you got that kind of power. This villain cut his dick off to the nub because he's so badass.
He did the reverse. He took a couple dicks and sewed them on top of that one just so you have a gigantic dick. There you go. He only has one leg. That's how big his dick.
I've been watching Legend of the Overfiend too much, Cyrus.
This fool eats a bowl of tarantulas and scorpions to get his venomous powers. I mean, he's crazy. And then he he's like got some weird depression going on too. And his nephew comes and says, "Man, can you just take the chains off? I mean, I'm not gonna go nowhere." And he's like, "Don't leave me. If you run from me, I'll cut your feet off. I'll kill you. Yeah. No, you my family now. I gotta keep you here."
Oh, I dated that girl.
Yeah. which really,
I'll fucking kill you. Run out on me. I love you. Please don't go.
Which really scares you because it actually brings some real life like trouble. You're like, oh shit. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know a few friends like that. Fucking crazy.
No, I really do like this movie. The only thing it's some great set pieces in here. There's a fight that goes on in a water well, actually looks like a well, but it's a pit of snakes as these people are traversing down it and having to climb back up. They have these great scenes that take place in castles and in dungeon-like areas, and it's like I said, it's very comic bookish and very cartoony. And the only part that I could say that I saw that really slowed it down is a part in here where Sukan has to learn how to fight, and to learn how to fight, he has to take on the actual master of Wushu, and
the god of Wushu,
and the old sage. Apparently, these guys are like gods themselves, and he's training with them. And there's a reveal with that, but. And I like that part of the story. I just thought that there were too many scenes.
Well, the problem is that you've got that whole thing, right? That sounds like when suddenly you realize, oh, there's more to this than we really think. That, wow, that's kind of interesting. What are they going to do with that? And then you kind of feel like they never really did anything with it. Like they took this really possibly interesting dramatic device and they just kind of said, well, that's how it is. But, either way.
Yeah, it for what you're right. What they wanted to do with it, they didn't have to carry it on that long. The point was got like 2 scenes in. But it's a lot of fun, man. Even the CG blood in that in mind, because again, this is such an exaggerated world with exaggerated rules and physics. For the part that I saw, And I probably shouldn't even give a review. But hey, you know what? If you happen to get this on DVD or Blu-ray one day, watch it on Netflix, or if you didn't pay that much at the theater, if you decide to walk out after the first story, I think that you would get a solid matinee type film.
Okay. I would say that it's funny talking about it. Something you said earlier made me realize that this film reminded me of Baz Luhrmann's Australia, where it was like it was 3 films in one, and none of them were the same film, even though it was the same characters all the way through. And each part I felt differently about. I mean, the first part I was just not with at all, with the overacting and everything else negative we said about it. The middle, where he has to, meet with defeat the god of Wushu and the big reveal leading up to the big showdown with his brother. That was probably the part that I liked the most. Then we get to the third part, like just when you think, okay, it's over, I can leave. We get to the third part. And I even liked the third part in it, just like I thought it would have been better in a different movie. It just felt like this is a completely different movie now. But I gotta say, there's a big fight that Corey that you haven't gotten to yet, where he takes on like just lots of guys, and I dug that. I mean, it's the kind of thing where like so much of it was just like, yeah, I've seen all this before, but fighting wise, I dug those parts, at least those last 2
I like
fights.
seeing white people get beat up.
Well,
Is that a part of the movie?
Yeah, he just starts fighting strong men and wrestlers, and
Because why not?
Yeah.
They fought every other style in this film. Why not throw in some professional wrestling?
Fights Mickey Rourke in the middle.
Basically,
Takes on
These guys are like 3 Mickey Rourkes in one.
I mean, it's like
I think Rocky shows up
it's
too.
like Bane from Batman, but it's just like about 3 of those.
Prize tonight, 100 pieces of silver. Show me how you can break these Chinamen's necks the way you do these iron bars.
I missed the part they were slapping white people. God damn! I get this movie full price.
It's like I said, it's good, but it's like, wow, it's a completely different movie from everything I've just watched the last hour and a half. So I don't know. My enjoyment level was only so. I liked it more toward the end than the beginning, and yet it still, to me, is more like a high matinee. A high rental at best.
Okay.
It's funny, like, I'm going to keep bringing up, like, of how many of these I've seen, because I am genuinely a huge fan of this genre of films, and I get how, like, weird it is coming in from the outside. You can't gauge it on the same level meters that you would a normal movie any more than you could gauge like a Friday the 13th movie the same means that you would something else. It's a very specific genre with its own different types of rules and people who are going for different types of things. And in that context, it's still nowhere near perfect. I mean, the best thing about this movie are the fights, and that's if you're already a fan of the style of fighting. Yuan Wu-Ping is like, in many ways, the god of cinematic martial arts fights.
He is.
And he's at his best when he is doing wire fu as well. And it's spectacular. But on the downside, they overuse the CG for the backgrounds and for some of the weapons stuff. And you've got a plot that is just kind of all over the place. I mean, and I don't mind that if it feels like it's one connected straight thread, but this really doesn't. It jumps around. There's that big break. And then the last half, even though it ends with a cool fight, is still like, why are we even here?
Yeah.
How did we even get to this part? I just feel like it should have been a completely different movie. It takes you right out of it. Felt like it should have ended a half an hour earlier than that. That being said, I did enjoy this almost all the way through anyway. I'm going, okay, this is dumb. Aha, but they're fighting. And oh, what a fight. And on that level, I give it a high matinee. All right.
Yeah, this is this is one of those films where I'm with you, Cyrus. I've seen a lot of these films, and I've seen a lot of Yuan Ping's films, and this wasn't by far one of his most memorable. It was fun to watch when those scenes came up with the fighting and some of the CG, but the funny thing is, I saw this as a double feature. I saw this, and I saw right after I saw Yuan Ping's very first film that he did with Jackie Chan, which pretty much invented the whole comedy, Hong Kong style. And that was Snake and Eagle Shadow. And the thing is, Snake and Eagle Shadow blew me away. And I was like amazed, like just the older school of like the simpler, training, the characters being so immersed with each other and having just great chemistry that I completely forgot about this movie. So, after that, I'd have to say this is easily a rental for me, and I think anyone else who's into this, only because Yuan Ping has done so much better as far as his films go, and his films are also so much different usually. But with this one, it was just the story was just too long. They could have easily cut this down to like a good like hour and a half. Honestly,
rental. You're the guy who gives rental.
Yeah,
co-host day.
I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah.
Co-hosts, we came from different angles. We still we arrived at the same spot.
Yeah, but you know what? The thing is that I would watch so many of his other movies over this one. So,
so that's what you recommend to like fans of this director.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Did y'all like? I thought the guy there with the Sukan guy was actually really good in this.
I went in and out on him. There were some scenes I thought he was good, and others where I thought he was terrible.
Yeah, I actually liked that guy. I mean, there's just some people here, even though I can understand they were saying he's just very likable. And I want to say this guy's name, but I know I'm gonna fuck it up. Manchuk Chu.
Was that the little kid?
Gesundheit.
Yeah, I'm about to say, man, somebody give me some fucking alcohol. I'll say all these names eloquently. I'll just start talking Chinese. Our gibberish is all the same thing. We get right down to